Hi, I'm Maduranga Caldera. I'm a Sri Lanka superbike rider. How I came into racing, I started in 1997. Well, in that era, two-stroke bikes, if I'm correct, the beginning of 90s, actually two-stroke machines were highly in demand in Sri Lanka. If anyone wants to come into racing, they have to buy a two-stroke bike. So that kind of situation, that period. So only thing is, because there was high demand for two-stroke bikes, they were very high in price as well. So, well, actually I was just after school and I didn't have enough money. I had about 60,000 rupees with me. So, which I didn't have enough money to buy a two-stroke bike. So, I had no option. So, I thought that time I didn't have any idea about racing. So, I thought it's all about having a full cowling and like a low handle bike. That's what I thought it's racing bike. I went to Katukurundu circuit. Actually, there was a race happening like one of the Sundays I went. So after next Sunday there was a race happening. So there were so many riders who were come to the racetrack and they've been riding. So I just went to see because I had the love for sport and I want to see them riding. So I went on my bike and I was just I was not allowed to go into the track. I was just I took my bike inside the track, but I was riding in the pit lane. So and that time for the four-stroke there was only one event, which is the open event, which runs all the 600 and 1000 cc bikes like the old Goldwing 1300 and all those bikes. So my bike is four-stroke 250, but there was no event for me. And for 250 there was event only two-stroke 250, which the NSR that time like the high demand that particular bike. So Mr. Upali Dasanayaka, who was the chief organizer for that particular race, he saw me riding and they were lack of riders for the event as well. So he came up to me and said, are you running okay? I mean, running good. Why don't you enter for this race? I said, I don't have a bike, I have only this 250. Yeah, that's good enough, and because it's my race, I can enter you. But only thing is you'll have to run on the open event, which is against the 1000 cc, and the smallest bike was the 750 cc. So I said yes, I would love to do it. Because I have no intention of winning the race or anything. I thought I'd just participate in this. So he gave me application then and there, so I filled it and gave it. So I have only 1 week. The front oil was leaking from the forks and a few other issues on the bike I had to sort out. And I didn't have a riding kit because I just went with the denim and the t-shirt, so I had no intention of racing. So I had to face so many problems. I have no money that time. I had only 1 day of practice because the official practice day is a Saturday and the Sunday is a race, because during week that time you cannot go and do any practice at the Katukurundu. So I didn't know how to start the race, what the race is and what the legal side of it, nothing. So I went in there for the official practice day. Then I met Uncle Pali and asked him, okay, I've never come to a race, so please tell me how to do it. I said, okay, it's like this. That time the race starts with a flag. I mean, they start with a flag. So they put a green flag down. So as you put the green flag down, you have to go. And he told me clearly, if you make a mistake, there will be a red flag showing to you. So then if you see the red flag, you have to stop. That means you would have done a mistake. So if not, you will see a checkered flag, black and white checkered flag. That means the race is over, so then you can finish. So I was ready for that. Anyway, I didn't know the track, how the track was, so I just, on the trials day, I did, I think 5 or 6 laps. I just went around. They put the flag down, the green flag, the race day. So I thought, okay, now it's the time. So I started the race. I couldn't see anyone. I thought I would have taken a foul start or wrong start or something like that. Then I was waiting for the red flag to come on because I thought I did a mistake because I couldn't see anyone. So there was 5 or 6 lap race. For I think 4 laps, I was leading the race. That means I was looking for the red flag. I didn't see the red flag. So that means I have not done any mistakes. So I was still I'm not sure whether I'm competing against the others because I couldn't see anyone. So on the 4th lap, Naveen Dasanayaka, that's Upali's Palyanka's son, he overtook me on a straight line. So and I thought, no, okay, now now that means I was leading the race. Then I knew that I was leading the race, and this guy overtook me. So that means the other one is just coming behind me. So I thought I'll somehow have to keep up with him. So I just went with him. So then I saw the checkered flag. Then I finished second on the first race. So that's how I started my racing. So from 97, that Katukununga race, up to date, I mean this is 2020, still I do race here in Sri Lanka and overseas as well. So it's a long journey, but I never wanted to win. I still don't want to win. I want to compete in the race, but I want to give my best to the race day, and that's how things are happening. Racing is all about pushing to the limit. Actually, you can't push to your limits unless you are really satisfied with the bike. It's a man and a machine combined. So basically, you have to have trust with your bike. So what I do, of course, is I don't let anyone other than my mechanic do the fine tuning and whatnot. Other than that, cleaning and a little bit of finer things, I do it myself. Basically, every day after practice, when I come home, I clean my bike from top to bottom. Basically, so if there's any missing nail, anything, I'll find it myself. So I check on the wheel, the nuts, chains, sprockets, all that, so that to make sure everything is in order and everything is perfect. So if I find anything loose or faulty, I'll inform my mechanic so that my mind is clear. So I know I can push the maximum on the bike, because riding at 298 kilometers an hour is not a joke. We are on 2 wheels. Anything can happen. So we want to minimize the damage what can happen. So if you are wearing a proper riding gear, basically nothing can go wrong. But still, there can be so many things coming into you, so that we will check everything, and basically we have to clear our mind first. Yeah, what I advise for the beginners is when you look at a 1000cc or 600cc bike, they looks nice and it's gorgeous. So everybody wants to go jump in and race in one of these bikes. So it's not easy as you see it, because when you're doing over 200 kilometers, everything is a different ball game. So I would advise any newcomer to start with a smaller bike, get used to the power, so that gradually you can increase the machine power. So basically, if you start with a 125, if you run for about 6-7 months, then you can go for a 250, then 400, 600, 1000. Likewise, if you go step by step, you will never go wrong, because if you try to go into a bigger machine at the beginning, anything can happen, because these machines are very fast. In the first gear, you can do about 120 kilometers. So if you don't know what the bike can do, you can end up in a big mess. I personally like the Japanese bike compared to the European bikes because the Japanese bikes are very reliable. So when it comes to Japanese bikes also I love Yamahas because simply because the Hondas have better handling, the Yamahas are much wilder. So I've been riding the 1000cc with Yamaha, so I like the wild feeling because it's not easy to maneuver, but then again it has enough power. So whereas comparing with Hondas, because the 600cc I was running, I used to run the CBR 600 Honda. Then again it's easier to maneuver, but comparing with the Yamahas, so lack of power, so I feel. And Italian bikes and the German bikes, I personally like them, but I don't want to race with them because you can't have enough trust with the bikes, because what I personally feel is they are not suitable for our weather, because Asian country and we are quite hot country, and every time we have electrical issues, so I don't want to go through all those hazards, so that's I prefer going with Japanese bikes. Yeah, as I started in 1997 with 250cc, I continue to run the 250cc for I think 12 years. In the meantime, I won 4 times championship on the 250cc. In the same time, while I'm running the 250, I started the 600 and 1000cc both. I won the 600cc championship twice and 1000cc the best rider award 4 times and 1000cc championship 2 times. That's in local, and overseas I've been to Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, South Africa, India, all those countries, Malaysia, Maldives, all those countries, and South Africa I came second in Port Elizabeth. Maldives, I became the fastest man of the island. I won the trophy. Apart from that, locally, up to date, I've been racing for last 22 years. So I think in motorbike racing, I'm the only one who's still racing for, for last 22 years continuously. It's only I'm the one who's running still. So I think late Anand Vedisinghe, I was running, actually he ran about 15 years and he stopped for 3 or 4 years and he started again. I think he ran about 23 years if I remember correct, but he had a break about 5 years. So I was started from 97 and up to date I'm still running, so I'm proud to say that. I remember my first, the bigger bike event, which I was competing the 400 or the 250 in the same 1000cc event. So I found a 900cc bike, CBR 900. So I still remember this because I bought this bike and the very next day there was a race. So I had only one key and the tank, they had an issue with the tank and they had to replace the tank in Japan. So the tank was not opening. I had to cut a key locally. So I had only few hours to do all that and go for the race. So I have not ridden a bigger bike that time. So there was one race in Koggala. So normally our race bikes, we load it on a truck or vehicle and we take it to the racetrack. So I thought this time this is the only opportunity is to ride from Colombo to Koggala. That's the only opportunity I will get to ride this bike. So I rode the bike from Colombo to Caldera on the race day itself. So I was there, and then I had the feel of the bike by then. So managed to win the race and rode back the same day with the trophy. From my family side, of course, my wife is more interested in racing than me. Sometimes because of the expenses, I said, oh, let's skip this race because, you know, set of tires is going to cost me about 100,000. So I said, no, this time it's going to be too expensive, so we'll just let it go this time and I'll go for the next race. She says, no, we have to do this race because the championship points and this, that. So somehow or other, towards the race day, when the race is closing by, we somehow go for the race. So that's how we never give up this racing. So our son Shanuka is now 8 years old, so he also likes bikes, and I think he will come into racing as well. So this is a very expensive sport, and the tires are expensive, the parts are expensive, so you have to be with it. So that is why people don't survive in this sport, because there are lots of expenses, but the return is nothing, I mean zero, from the clubs or the federation or whatever. They don't pay you money. So, I mean, to enter to a race, we have to pay entry fee, which is, I mean, we are spending our own money to come into the racing. So unless you have a sponsor, we are only spending, we don't gain anything. Just that once you have a liking to the sport, you can't give up. So you have to somehow blend everything together. So coming into racing is easy. Surviving there is very difficult unless you are really into this sport. Future, of course, I'm planning to be in racing for a few more years. Actually, right now also I'm training Sri Lanka Air Force riders, and I would like to, because I learned everything by my own, and halfway through only I went to some schools and brush up my knowledge. So I would like to share my knowledge, what I have. If somebody wants to learn from me, I won't keep anything. I will teach everything, because already in my event and other events, there are so many riders who got lessons from me. They are running in top range, and so whatever I learn, I'm willing to give it out. So I'm even planning to open a riding school, which we don't have in Sri Lanka. So like a proper riding school. So maybe in future we will start that, and we will continue that. When it comes to tarmac racing, like in my category, there are no proper racetracks in Sri Lanka. We have Katukurunda racetrack, which is not a racetrack actually, it's an Air Force based strip, so we are using it as a racetrack. We have a Mirigama racetrack, that is of course a properly done racetrack, and Pannala is a racetrack. So apart from these two racetracks, we don't have any other racetracks in Sri Lanka. So I think if you are to develop this sport, proper racetracks has to come in. I mean, that it's not a very big expense unless you have a big land. It's full, I mean, proper carpet road and you know, secret areas and so on. So runoff areas, and I think people who knows how to make these tracks, they know what to do it. So if we have proper racetracks here in Sri Lanka, I think our sport will go up in big time.